Welcome on this third Sunday after Easter. Our gospel lesson for today is St. John, the 10th chapter, verses 1 through 10. Jesus, the Good Shepherd. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the gatekeeper opens. The sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought all his own, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. A stranger they will not follow, but they will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. This figure Jesus used with them, but they did not understand what he was saying to them. So Jesus again said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not heed them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved, and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Here ends our gospel reading. According to an internet article in the Daily Mail of the United Kingdom, earlier this month in some parks and farms and yards in the United Kingdom, sheep have been experiencing a new sense of freedom. Parks and spaces have been shut down due to the coronavirus, and people are secluded in their homes, and so the sheep have taken to roaming about in newly opened spaces where they normally would not go. Rather than wandering aimlessly through the fields, it seems that sheep have been seeking out children's playgrounds, and they've begun, believe it or not, to play. It appears that their favorite activity is to take turns riding on the merry-go-round, or as some people call it, the roundabout. When playing on these, you may remember from childhood, children typically sit on the base, the floor, while others spin the wheel. And after a while, others get to sit on the base while others spin. And it appears that the sheep are smarter than we thought because they figured out that game. And a flock of sheep have been spotted in numerous places, pushing each other. But one in particular has been going through the gate of Debbie Ellis's backyard and playing on her children's merry-go-round or roundabout several days in a row. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, this certainly redefines what it means to be a sheep. Because this week's lessons are all about sheep. Both the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian gospels refer to God's people and followers of Jesus as sheep. In the past, sheep were referred to as rather unintelligent animals, and we talked and heard about them wandering aimlessly away if the shepherd were not there to guide them. Yet it seems, as we have heard recently, that given the opportunity, sheep would rather play games than simply wander aimlessly through the fields. They apparently have a sense of community and a passion for assisting one another, and they even figured out how to get up on that platform and have others push them and then take turns. Definitely a zeal for fun. Should we be surprised? The human spirit, too, has a natural inclination for making the best of new situations and predicaments, for making fun out of difficult times. All you have to do is look at the television and the internet right now to see amazing creativity creativity and innovation sparked by our coronavirus seclusion. We simply will not be held down. We always find a way to do what we desire. Human beings, though, can be fearful at times. We are also the most adaptable creatures on the planet. And when we feel we have no control over certain parts of our lives, something happens to our minds and our hearts, and we look for that open opportunity, that open window or deserted field, or we find a new way to play. We look for, if you will, the blank canvas and find a way to paint a new or different kind of version of a masterpiece. We look for tin cannons and wooden sticks, and suddenly that becomes an instrument to make music with. We sing, we dance, we play, we typically do it all together, but when we can't be face to face, person to person, we still find all kinds of ways to connect with each other. You can see it every day on the television and the internet. In fact, all great inventions were brought to fruition by people who went about things in a new and different way. People who saw outside of the box, who created new ways to do whatever they were doing in life. Human beings will always look for an opening, a crack in the sidewalk, a door that's not been opened or explored, and we will dare to try it. That's the exquisiteness of what it means to be a part of the human planet. We embrace the beauty of our humanness when we embrace God and when we follow Jesus. Because for us, God is that open door that leads to new and exciting pathways. Jesus is that gateway to life that affords us freedom and exploration of what it means to truly live. Followers of Jesus will dare to enter into that open portal that leads to new life, into that freed up space that allows us room to become the best versions of ourselves, to exuberantly explore the realms of humanness and the reaches of eternity. And here's the reality. We most welcome freedom and community when we are most fenced in, when we're most threatened, when we're fearful, when we're isolated and alone. When we are fenced in, when we are inhibited, our creativity seems to burst forth in order to create some sort of a new hope, a new joy, a new excitement, even if it's a small thing, even new forms and ways of being community. The human spirit is a playful spirit, a free spirit, and God celebrates this in us above all else. God knows that we are people who will seek new pathways when gates are opened, and will discover new ways of living when old ones are stymied. Open the door and we will dare to enter out. Give us the gift of freedom and we will dare to grasp it by the tail and create new ways to do life if we need to. God gives us the gift of freedom in Jesus, not to inhibit us into following blindly or mindlessly, but God gives us the gift of freedom in Jesus because He will open doors and gates for us when we feel shut in. He will lead the way to open fields and clean waters when our lives have become rancid or stagnant. He helps us to discover things to eat when our food for living is run dry or becomes scarce. He gives us the courage to stand before a common foe and to face it head on. He girds up and keeps us strong when we need to walk into dangerous situations and deal with unknown assailants. He calls us by name, so He can guide us into new pastures when the old ones become barren and stale. Jesus gives us the freedom of life. And it's God's Spirit breathed through us and through our relationship with Jesus that gives us that playful, creative, resilient spirit that will always energize us and renew us in every situation. To be a sheep is not to be complacent or stupid or aimless or helpless to play the victim. To be a sheep is to be inquisitive, resilient, brave, and exploratory. To be a sheep is to seek out companionship and community, to take advantage of the freedom and protection that God offers us in order to walk in new and dangerous places and to come face to face with our enemies, to romp in grassy meadows and drink freely of waters, to dare to enter into the gate that leads to life, to follow the voice of Jesus into the wild and woolly places because we trust him. And we trust that love, life, and play dwell securely out there in the future for us. There is a reason that Psalm 23 is the most beloved psalm of all time. It is not just that it is comforting, not just that it is so beautiful, but it's a song of daring and courage, of freedom and joy, of bravery in the face of danger, of victory in life. And the gospel in John today says the same thing. No matter how trapped or isolated we might feel, fenced in and surrounded by wolves or unseen viruses assailing us, no matter how confused we feel or worried about our future, no matter what threatens and lurks outside of our walls, when we hear the voice of Jesus, we know a door has been opened, and we have a free invitation to go out, to exit those locked rooms in our barren pastures, and to go through the gates of life into freedom, into a new and lush pasture of possibilities, a future filled with good food and freedom for us to create a new and perhaps different life. This is the joy that Jesus offers. Freedom. Ultimate freedom. Not only from physical barriers, but from our fear, our solitude, our doubts, our worries, our hunger, our thirst, our boredom, and all the trappings, even our own sins, even from death itself. All you have to do is have patience. Look for that open door. It will come eventually, and when you do see that open door, Jesus will be standing beside it, calling you to enter out. Do you have the courage to go and to discover a new kind of life? I say go for it. I dare you. After all, you are a sheep. And in the end, sheep just want to have fun. Amen.